Joel Edgerton's performance as Robert Grenier in Train Dreams is a study in emotional restraint, inward suffering, and the quiet resilience of a man who endures more than he ever understands. What makes Edgerton's portrayal so compelling is not just his ability to represent grief, but the way he embodies it. His acting becomes a physical and emotional language of its own, showing how sorrow can reshape a life not in grand gestures, but in the smallest, most human moments. Through Edgerton, Robert becomes not simply a character, but a testament to the long, unspoken shadow of loss. Edgerton establishes Robert as someone slightly out of step with the world. As an orphaned child, Robert grows up without stable guidance or a clear place to belong. Edgerton's posture and expressions communicate this lostness. The way Robert lingers at the edges of crowds, watches others with a cautious curiosity, or hesitates before speaking as though unsure of how he fits into the flow of life around him.
He felt that nothing much attracted his interest. Until, that is, he met Gladys Olding.
These subtle choices plant the seeds of the emotional journey to come. Even before tragedy strikes, Robert is a man shaped by absence, and Edgerton conveys this through an almost instinctive withdrawal from the world. When Robert witnesses the killing of a Chinese laborer thrown off a railway bridge, Edgerton's expression captures the moment with chilling clarity. His face shifts from confusion to horror, to a kind of spiritual injury that lingers long after the act is over. The haunted look that settles in his eyes marks a turning point. Robert now carries a grief that is not his own, a guilt and a fear he cannot name. Edgerton communicates this haunting not with dramatic confrontation, but through the quiet moments that follow, restless glances, troubled breathing, a faraway stare that returns throughout the movie. His grief becomes a companion, a haunting vision, and a disturbing visage of the very man he failed, shadowing him through every chapter of his life.
Bring him on up here. Hey, come on.
Oh, what's he done? All right.
Robert's relationship with Gladys and the birth of their daughter Kate bring a rare warmth to him, and Edgerton subtly shifts his performance to reflect this. There's a gentle lightness in the way he watches Gladys work, or how he holds Kate with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. His smiles are small but genuine, a stark contrast to the earlier heaviness in his expression. Yet even within these moments of domestic hope, Edgerton allows flickers of fear to surface, the fear that he is not enough, that he cannot provide, that happiness is temporary. The guilt of leaving his family for long logging seasons shows in the soft pleading in his eyes, as though he's apologizing without speaking. Providing for his family means not being able to watch his daughter grow, which is pain only conveyed in the eyes. It's these delicate emotional layers that make Robert's character so human and so tragic. He is always trying, always wanting to do right, even as life pulls him away from those he loves.
She's just gotten so big. She's starting to look like you. She's like a different person every time I see her. I feel like I'm missing her whole life.
It seemed that as soon as Grenier felt used to being at home, logging season would come back around and it was time to leave again. He and Gladys figured that after one more long stint in the woods, they'd have enough money to start building a sawmill back home. And though he didn't know it then, he would always look back on this time in his life as his happiest.
Don't worry. You'll have plenty of time to be our daddy.
When the wildfire destroys the cabin and takes Gladys and Kate from him, Edgerton delivers the most devastatingly quiet performance in the whole movie. He does not wail, collapse, or rage. Instead, he moves through the world like a man suspended between shock and surrender. His grief becomes a kind of numbness, shown in the slow, heavy way he lifts objects, the distant gaze with which he surveys the ruins, and the almost mechanical manner in which he rebuilds the cabin. Edgerton understands that grief often manifests in silence, in the inability to articulate pain, in the hollow routines we cling to because they are the only things left to hold. By resisting the temptation to overexpress, he he mirrors the way real human beings carry unthinkable loss. As time passes, Edgerton's portrayal deepens into something even more profound. Robert becomes a man who walks between the living and the dead, haunted not only by the Chinese worker, but by the family he can never stop longing for.
I'll come back. You all come from. You want it.
I always wanted a dog.
Okay.
Katie.
In later years, as the modern world reshapes itself around him, Edgerton shows how grief can become a quiet companion to aging, a steady, familiar ache rather than a sharp wound. Robert watches radios, cars, and airplanes remake society, yet he remains anchored to his memories. His walks in the woods, guided by the faint presence of Gladys and Kate, become a ritual of remembrance. Edgerton's expressions in these scenes convey a man suspended in time, living in the spaces between what was and what will never be again. Even when he believes he sees Kate return, injured, fearful, and in need, Edgerton plays the scene with heartbreaking tenderness. Regardless of whether she is real or not, she represents everything he lost and everything he can have. His face reflects a father's desperate hope mixed with disbelief, a momentary miracle he knows might slip away. And when morning comes and she is gone, the devastation in his stillness speaks louder than any cry ever could.
Though he knew it must be impossible, the thought overwhelmed him that his daughter had returned. Seeing Kate again felt as real as anything else in his life, even as he wondered if it had really happened to him.
Even in the last scene, Robert circling through the sky in a biplane, Edgerton's performance elevates the moment to something transcendent. As the plane spins and dips, Robert's life flashes before him, not just in a dramatic montage, but in the subtle easing of Edgerton's expression. For a brief moment, Robert appears lighter, almost peaceful, as if letting go of gravity means letting go of grief. When the narrator reveals Robert died in his sleep soon after, it feels fitting, not tragic, but quietly beautiful.
Better hold on to something.
He felt, at last, connected to it all. When Robert Granier died in his sleep sometime in November of 1968, his life ended as quietly as it had begun.
What makes Edgerton's performance unforgettable is its honesty. He portrays grief not as a single moment of sorrow, but as a lifelong companion, a force that shapes who we are, how we move, what we fear, and what we hope for. Robert Granier's life becomes a reminder to cherish what we have while we have it, because loss can come suddenly and without reason. Through every scene, Edgerton is the anchor that holds the movie together, guiding the audience through the shifting landscapes of time, memory, and heartache. In Train Dreams, Joel Edgerton doesn't just play Robert Granier, he becomes him. And through his performance, we see not only the story of one man's grief, but also the universal truth that life is fragile, fleeting, and immeasurably precious.